What's going on, everyone? My name's Ansem, and today I want to talk to you about D&D Beyond. So D&D Beyond is a 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons digital tool set. So what that means is that it's basically a web page right now. Eventually, plans are to turn it into an app. The app is currently in alpha and doesn't really reflect everything that you can do through the system right now. But this tool set is something that grants you the ability to kind of go in, do your character creation, have all of your, not quite PDFs, but all of digital copies of all of your content that you've bought for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, all in one place. It allows you to create and look at monsters, spells, items, new backgrounds, feats, and then share that with the community as well, so that you can kind of take bits and pieces and use it for your own games. D&D Beyond has been out for almost a year now. There was a lot of talk about it when it released last year in 2017, but really the talks kind of died down. And I just started playing a game um, IRL with a bunch of friends currently in South Korea, and hadn't really played in person before. Everything that I've known about Dungeons and Dragons up until this point was through Roll20, which is an amazing system. If you haven't used it and you're doing some kind of online web-based D&D game, I highly recommend Roll20. It's a good virtual tabletop, and you're able to use maps and move your characters around just as if you were at a table. Very cool system. But I was now playing in real life, and really, to carry around all the books that you need is very frustrating. I'm playing with a lot of people who have very different experiences with the game. So we have some new players, some players that have played before, or some players that have never played 5th edition but really played heavily in 3rd edition. So everybody's coming from a different background, and now we're jumping into this 5th edition game with I'm the only one who has my books. I'm military over here, so a lot of these guys are new, haven't received their household goods, so all their books and all their things that they used to play D&D with. So I'm the only one currently that has any kind of books over here. Um, so I ended up taking all my stuff over there. We started playing and rolling our characters, and I had remembered that I actually used D&D Beyond back when it first started. I was like, well, maybe this is something that we can use now. So uh, that first day, it was kind of, we had one player's handbook. We were all getting to know each other, so not a lot happened. So ended up coming back and taking a look at D&D Beyond and seeing what it had to offer, and how it could help with our game. And come to find out, uh, the selling point for me for D&D Beyond, and I guess bottom line up front, is the fact that yes, you have to buy all your content again. And I'm not saying that I agree with Wizards or Curse or Twitch or anything with how they're going about that. It's very disheartening knowing that I own physical copies of all of these books, and I've also bought a lot of these books through Roll20 now. And now I'm going to have to buy it again on another digital platform to be able to use it with my friends here. So that's very frustrating. Um, and I got to looking at the cost of the system. Well, let's go in and take a look. So up in the top right gives you your choices. Remember that you have to have a Twitch account in order to get to D&D Beyond. So we'll go to the marketplace. You'll see subscriptions here, and we'll get into that here in just a moment. So the marketplace, as soon as you go in, you have what's called the Legendary Bundle. All right, the Legendary Bundle obviously is a lot of money. You'll see similar things like this on Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds, where you basically get all the 5th edition content for Dungeons and Dragons, and you just pay a lump sum for it, right? Very expensive to do. If you're a starter player, you're probably not going to do this. You don't necessarily need every adventure that's ever came out for 5th edition to get started. So we're going to scroll on down and see what else is an option. So you can see that kind of as we're going down, it's not in any kind of order as far as alphabetical or things like that. So you have Xanathar's Guide to Everything, Curse of Strahd, and if you look at the prices, we're looking at $24.99 for Xanathar's Guide. It was very similar. Scrolling down, Dungeons Master Guide, you can see the content that I have unlocked because I bought it. And most of it is just for the player options and DM options. Nothing as far as adventures right now. But we'll take a look at adventures if you guys are interested in that a little bit later. So you can see some of the older adventures here. Hoard of the Dragon Queen, $19.99. So a lot of the stuff as far as digital content is similar to what you'd pay for like Amazon to ship the physical book to yourself. Hoard of the Dragon Queen looks like it's a little bit less expensive than that. Lost Minds of Phandelver. So we go through and we see a lot of content here that you can buy. Pretty much all the 5th edition stuff that Wizards of the Coast has put out is now available through this marketplace. And like I said, I understand how frustrating it is having to buy this on a totally new system. But I'm going to show you kind of where I'm going with this, where it's going to help my group out, and really it's cheaper overall, especially if I wouldn't have had anything to start with. If you're just starting D&D and you have no physical books and you never played on Roll20 or on Fantasy Grounds, well, yeah, this is a great option. Reason being is normally when you start out, you're going to grab something like the Monster Manual, the Player's Handbook, the Dungeons Master's Guide, and those are going to be the bread and butter of what you use, right? Those are the things that kind of help you get started playing the game. So let's say that we buy that, right? As me, right? Ansem goes and he buys those 3 things and then ends up going to our next meeting for D&D. And now I have D&D Beyond, I have these books. Well, what good is that doing us? How's that any different from me just bringing my one player's handbook? Well, if we go up and we look at marketplace and subscriptions, you can see that there's a couple different subscriptions options, right? So right now I'm D&D Beyond Master monthly subscription, $5.99. So not super expensive, and it's billed every month, right? The key thing here is the subscriptions are broken down into 2 different categories. You have Hero Tier, right? So Hero Tier is meant for players. This removes ads, right? It also lets you have unlimited characters, and you can publicly share your homebrew content, right? So that's one other cool thing about D&D Beyond, the fact that everybody shares all this homebrew content, and you can pick and pull from the minds of all these people for backgrounds and things like that. Super neat. We'll get into that a little bit later, right? So the Hero Tier is for a player, and then you have the Master Tier, right? Intended for Dungeon Master or for player groups, right? So currently I'm not the DM of the group that we're playing with right now. I'm just a player, right? But I have the Master Tier only for the reason that this tier grants the benefits of Hero Tier to my players within the campaign. So I started the campaign because my dungeon masters never used D&D Beyond. So I started the campaign, and now we're starting to fill characters into it, right? Well, all those characters, right, when I send a link and they join our campaign through D&D Beyond, all those characters are now able to use whatever content that I have unlocked, right? So if I scroll down a little farther, you can see that it breaks down. Here are the prices for Hero and Master Tier, right? As we get down, we can compare the subscription plans. So yeah, no ads is really awesome, right? But I can purchase and unlock the content in the tool set. I can have unlimited characters, right? But the big difference you get down to is this here. So right, we can share unlocked official content with others with the Master Tier. So I can have up to 3 campaigns with 12 different characters in it. And I can share anything that I've bought with any of those players. So instead of having one player's handbook now, currently my group has 4 individuals in it. It's now like I have a copy of 4 different players' handbooks, which is super awesome. And I know that a lot of people have other ways of getting that player's handbook. I understand that. However, this actually implements it into your character creation process. So, show you real quick kind of an overview of the character creation and how in depth it goes. So currently I can go to characters and then character builder, right? Character builder is going to give you 3 different options. You have standard, quick build, and randomize. So a standard character, that's step by step, you're building a character from the ground up, right? You're going to make all the choices and is great if you really want to get in depth and you have an idea for a character and you want to implement that as you're going through this process. You've spoken with other members of your group and you've formed, hey, this is where I want my character to come from. This is exactly what I want out of this campaign, right? You can see that with the standard character, you also have this help text, right? So it says ideal for beginners, and that's true. So if you click that help text, what it's going to do is whenever you're going through the character creation process, you're going to see things like size and how size actually affects the gameplay. You're going to see things like age, and it's going to give you kind of a, oh, well, if I'm a gnome, gnomes have this kind of lifespan, or humans have this kind of lifespans, orc live for this long, things like that. It's going to tell you, what alignment is, because if you're a new player, you're not going to know, those things and what chaotic neutral means, or, chaotic good, lawful good. That doesn't mean anything to you as a new player, right? So we'll go ahead and click that. And we're going to try standard, but just an overview of quick build. So quick build is a first level character, and you're going to choose the name of the character, the class, and the race of the character. And then it's going to set you up with settings and stats that are kind of in line with that class, right? So if you're choosing a warlock, it's going to put your highest stat, using standard array into charisma. If you're, doing a fighter, it's going to put your stat into strength, and it's going to give you, backgrounds that kind of go along that same path, right? Whereas if you use randomize, that's totally different, right? So randomize is you're going to be able to choose the level of the character, and you're going to be able to choose the different parameters. So it's level, race, class, whether or not this character can be multi-classed, and then whether or not this character will be able to use feats, right? You'll still name the character, and then you'll generate the character, and it's going to come out with totally random stats using still that standard array. So I tried this for the first time. I ended up with a Furblog Warlock that was 12 levels in Warlock, 2 levels in Fighter, with a Wisdom of 15 and a Charisma of 12, right, with the Sage background. So kind of very interesting way that, hey, if you're just going into a campaign and you're not really sure what to go for, randomize, and maybe it'll generate some character ideas for you, right? Anyway, I want to go into the standard, and we're going to kind of take a look at what character creation looks like. Keep in mind that I said we have some new players, and I think that's really where D&D Beyond assisted these players. So this is what the help text looks like. If you're ever in your character creation, you want to turn it off, there's this little question mark up here. You can hit that and it'll turn it off. Hit it again, turn it back on. So like I said, it's going to tell you character level, right? Normally begins at level 1. Just a brief explanation of rules as we go through. So I hit next and I say, all right, what do I want my character's name to be? Let's say we want our, without caps lock this time, character's name to be Ansem. And then we can set a few options here. So homebrew content, are you going to allow that? Yes or no, right? The DM can go and choose which homebrew to add to the campaign. Critical Role content. So if you're a D&D player, maybe you've heard of Critical Role, maybe you haven't. Critical Role is a collection of voice actors from, cartoons, anime, video games. They get together and they play D&D together. And it's led by their dungeon master, Matt Mercer, who is amazing. Every one of them is amazing, right? All these characters that they create are all role-played in character, so they use different voices, and these are professional actors doing it. Really awesome thing to see. If you haven't seen Critical Role, definitely a plug that it's amazing. The second season just started, and you should go catch up. Critical Role is actually using D&D Beyond for this second season. And they've actually implemented one of Matt Mercer's classes into the D&D Beyond functionality, so you're able to choose that class. So we'll turn that off because for right now, we're going in as a new player. We want to stick to kind of what we know. Same thing for homebrew content, right? So you also have the option to add in playtest content. So we're talking about Unearthed Arcana here. When it releases and is implemented into D&D Beyond, you can go in and choose, yes, this character is able to use that, or no, they're not. So advancement type, we're looking at milestone or XP. Get with your DM, see what you're going to do as far as character progression and XP, right? Encumbrance, you can either use it, no encumbrance, or you can do the variant encumbrance that's found in the rules. For hit points, you can use fixed or manual, so it kind of just says, hey, as you progress through your character, these are the settings that we're going to go through. Do you want an unarmed strike listed on your your character sheet, so that, hey, if I have to punch someone, do I know what kind of dice to roll? So yeah, we'll leave that on. As we progress through, like I said, we have the question mark up here turned blue, which means it's going to talk to us about race and all the things that come with it, how speed affects things, how your sub-races will play into things and kind of shift what your overall race can do. As we move forward, we can choose a race. So as you saw earlier, I went through and I already bought a lot of the stuff listed in the marketplace that has to do with player choices and character races and backgrounds, and all of that. That's kind of my focus as I went through the marketplace. So here you're going to see a lot of character races. But say that you only want to use things from the player's handbook. I can come up here and I can click all sources. I can go down to the player's handbook and choose just player handbook races, and that's all that's going to show up, right? You can also search through if you want something in particular. So I'll go back to all sources just so you can see that there are loads of player options here for races, right? If I have a question about it and I say, well, what is a wood half elf, right? If I click it, it's going to let me know that, hey, you're about to choose wood half elf. These are some of the racial traits for it. I can go down and I can go to the details page. So I'll open that up in a new web page and it'll say, well, hey, look, this is everything. Rules for half elf. I can go down and it tells me specifically about each different kind of half elf and the variants of half elf. And here I have wood half elf if I'm interested, right? I go back and it tells me about ability score increases, and basically anything that you choose with this race is going to pop up and say, hey, that's what I want, right? So let's go with a weird one. We'll go with variant human for now, just so I can kind of show you the way that feats work as well. So go down, find variant human. Again, it's going to show you what comes with that race. Cool little variant human up here. Choose the race. So now I've selected, hey, I want to be a variant human. Shows me what I get with variant human, and then all the selections I can make for this character. So if I click languages, I can go down and it says you can choose a single language. So which language do we want to choose? We'll say that this guy grew up on the wrong side of town, dealt with orcs a lot. This guy can speak Orcish. He also has some ability score increases. So we have two choices here. So based off of, the class that we want to pick or the story that you want to go with, you're going to choose your ability score, right? So we're going to go with something like a warlock. So I want, that high charisma, and, I'm going to be a warlock that's up close and personal. We're going to do some constitution as well, right? Going to choose some of the skills, right? You gain proficiency in one skill of your choice. All right, go in, you choose whichever skill you're going to be really good at, right? I'm going to choose persuasion, right? My warlock's going to be a persuasive guy. Some of the things that D&D Beyond doesn't provide yet, so I've heard of people that have homebrew rules that are like, hey, I don't like variant human because it offers that feat. It kind of puts them ahead of all the other races. So what I like to do is not use the variant human, and everybody just gets a feat to start out with. Right now there's no implementation to give a feat to a person unless they would have gained that feat anyway. So either with a level up or starting as a variant human or something like that. So no real way to do that right now. However, they've said that that is something that they'd like to implement in the future, right? Keep in mind this is still a new program, right? So then we have the feat selection. So I go down, I want to choose a feat, but I don't know which one I want to pick. Let's see, durable. If I click durable, it'll give me a heads up as to, hey, this is what durable means, right? Hardy and resilient, you gain the following benefits. Increase your constitution score by 1 to a maximum of 20. Okay, sure. For this case, we're going to go ahead and use durable. Now I'm going to choose a class, and it talks a little bit about multi-classing, again, because that blue question mark is lit up. All right, so what kind of class? We talked about the fact that we wanted to go ahead and choose Warlock for this character. So yeah, I'm going to choose Warlock. Again, it's going to tell me, hey, this is what Warlock consists of, so you know what you're getting into. Really cool for new players that don't really know anything about the classes, or they have an idea, but they don't know if they want to be a paladin or a fighter or a cleric, but they know they want to be up close and personal. They can take a look at this and be like, oh, I don't know if that's what I want. Let me check out cleric. Oh no, I definitely want Warlock. So go ahead, click Warlock. I'm going to add class. So now you can see, yep, character level 1, my hit points, I can manage it. So if I want to do some kind of, if your DM has some kind of special rule with hit points, you can go ahead, you can come up and adjust that as need be, right? So I can hit this and say, look, this is what hit point rules are for your class, proficiencies. All right, well, look, I've got light armor, simple weapons, tools. Yeah, but I also get 2 skills. So which skills do I want? Well, I want deception, and let's say I want arcana, because my warlock knows a lot about magic. All right, we get to choose our patron now. So if I go down, I get to choose our patron. Here are all my options. I've got Xanathar's Guide, so Hexblade is an option. That's my personal favorite for warlock, but Celestial's there as well. The Undying, so you can choose whichever one you want. Right, this is what I'm comfortable with, so we'll take a look at Hexblade. So I go ahead, I pick Hexblade, and now it expands out, and you can see kind of what I'm given, right? Talks about pact magic, and all these things are hyperlinked, so if I want to go to spell rules, I click it, and it's opened up in a new tab. I can go and I can look at spell casting. All right, the same rules that you would look at if you had the player's handbook right beside you anyway. So I go back, yep, okay, we're good on Pact Magic. Expanded spell list, right? I clicked on Hexblade and shows that as, my subclass. And so now I'm looking and, all right, first level spell, I'm now able to choose Shield or Wrathful Smite if I'd like to. Cool. As we get further in, you'll see that, hey, those are now selectable choices. Hexblade Curse. All right, this is a cool little skill that my Hexblade gets, right? Awesome. Now it's going to put it onto our character sheet for us. Hex Warrior, same thing. It's going to go onto our character sheet for us and we'll be able to look at it. So let's say that I've never played a Hexblade before, and now I'm looking to see kind of, well, what does this look like in, future levels? What's available to me? Available at higher levels down here. I can click it, be like, oh, okay, second level I get Eldritch Invocations. Kind of lets me take a look and see what those invocations are. I have Xanathar's Guide, so I can go look at the new invocations if I'd like to, or I can go look in the player's handbook and look at some of the older invocations. Pact boons, okay, so this is what I'm looking at when it comes time for my warlock. I'll do what every new player does. I'll be like, all right, my level 20 ability, what is it? You can draw on the inner reserve of your mystical power while entreating your patron to regain expended spell slots. You can spend 1 minute entreating your patron for aid and regain all your expended spell slots from your Pact Magic feature. Once you regain spell slots with this feature, you must finish a long rest before you can do so again. Alright, cool. Yes, definitely want to be a Hexblade. Boom. Determined ability scores. So you have 3 basic ways of doing ability scores. Explains what those are here. And as I move on, I can take a look. All right, what kind of method do I want to use? Well, I want to use standard array. All right, standard array gives me a drop down, so I can be like, all right, yep, I'm super charismatic. Like I said, my constitution is going to be high too. Everything else, let's go with, You know what? I know that Hexblades eventually can use their charisma to attack, so I'm going to put my strength lower. Put dexterity at 13, intellect 10, and wisdom 12, right? And then it gives me a breakdown of, okay, for charisma, total score of 16. Well, where does that come from? We have a base score of 15, and then my racial bonus gives me +1. You can also go in here and add in any other modifiers you need, or that maybe you've talked to your DM and changed around the class. You're like, no, I'm taking a negative to wisdom, but I want to, get a positive to intellect. Whatever, you can adjust it as needed there. If we're doing manual, then I actually just go in and I type, my stats in up here. Yep. Gonna make ourselves a stellar character. Boom, right? Adjust as needed. Again, you can do the other modifiers down at the bottom if that's what you're into. Point buy is going to be very similar to standard array. You go in, you can choose what your stats are. Sweet, gives you your point remaining up here. All right, but for this we're going to use standard array. Whoops. All right, we are good to go. I'm going to go on. Going to tell us about the description of our character and background. Next. All right, here's our player character. Now we know what our character is, right? So we chose variant human. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to say, all right, what does my variant human look like? Right? It gives you the variant human portraits. And then if you scroll down farther, gotta wait for it to catch up to me. It'll give you some other portraits to look at too. If maybe you're looking at something that doesn't fit in that variant human, you select one of these. So we'll go up and we'll say, my variant human, Ansem, looks like this. Boom. Alright, got a face to this warlock now. Let's choose his background. Again, because I've already unlocked the content, we're going to have a few more backgrounds than what we're used to. But this warlock, he is an outlander. If I click outlander, it's going to tell me, hey, what does outlander mean? Skill proficiencies that come with it, tool proficiencies, and he is a boss on the bagpipes. All right, what kind of languages does he know? Well, we'll say that he is very fluent in Sylvan. Wanderer, what does that mean? I can click on it, it tells me what the background feature is. Suggested characteristics, just like in the book. Give it a roll, so you hit the random button, it'll choose. Okay, well, number 3 got chosen. I once ran 25 miles without stopping to warn my clan of an approaching orc horde. Right? Makes sense, we're close to orcs, we've already talked about. So awesome. Go down, you can do the same thing with ideals, right? Number 2, I believe in the greater good. It's each person's responsibility. Blase, blase, blase. Right? Same thing as we go down. All right, so talked about that. Character details. This is going to prompt you a little bit more about the background of your character. Kind of help solidify who this person is. Right? What kind of character is he? Well, Hexblades make a pact with, some, not necessarily a devil, but somebody from another plane. All right, through this use of this weapon that kind of is sentient. So it doesn't necessarily have to be an evil character as a warlock. Not that all warlocks are evil, right? But we'll go with, yeah, he's chaotic good, right? All right, that's what chaotic good means. Good to know. Faith, I can say a little bit about faith, right? So this warlock isn't dependent upon gods for his power, so maybe he thinks that power isn't provided by the gods. Those that use that power use a crutch. Right? So he looks down on those who, rely on gods to do everything. He's more of a self-made man, thinks that he can get through life kind of on his own, with his own wit, his own charisma, right? He doesn't rely on others. Lifestyle, let's say, yeah, modest living, right? Goes into what that lifestyle choice actually means to you. Physical characteristics just prompts you for more information about your character. You can fill this in as much or as little as you want. So we'll say his hair is brown, skin is, let's say, dark olive colored skin, right? His eyes are blue. Height, we'll say 5'5". If you're watching this, obviously I'm from America. I've played in many online games where they're talking in centimeters, and I have no idea what that is on that kind of scale when we're talking about the height of a person. So I would talk in feet, and they're all thrown off. Very strange thing if you've never gotten to do it. So here, obviously, we're talking feet. So weight, this person gonna be about 170 pounds. He's kind of lean. Say 25 years old and a male. Physical or personal characteristics, right? It's added in the choices that we chose up higher on the list. And we could say edit traits. Maybe, I like the trait that's here, but I want to add something else. So for personality traits, I'm going to say that, we talked about earlier, no faith in the gods. I make my own way. If I exit out of that, now, it's placed it down here. So I can add those in manually if I need to as well. For notes, it's going to give us, hey, what kind of organizations does this person belong to? Who are their allies, enemies, adding in a backstory or anything else that you'd like to add in here. Just more fluff for your character, something for the DM to build off of. Because keep in mind, if you're using this to create your character, your DM can go in and actually see all the characters that are made as well. And, kind of work off of them, be able to, sculpt their story around these characters now. Next, all right, I want to choose my equipment. So when I'm starting, I have two options here. I can choose the equipment that comes with my background, or I can choose the gold that comes with it. So let's just make it easy, and we're going to choose the equipment that comes with my background. All right, so it's going to give me a few options here. My warlock can start with a light crossbow with 20 bolts, or any simple weapon. Let's go any simple weapon. And this guy, we've already established that he's kind of close to the tribes, things like that. We'll use a boomerang. Component pouch or arcane focus. If I were to pick arcane focus, I could actually go in and choose what kind of arcane focus am I talking about. Say a crystal, right? Scholar's pack, I pick it, it tells me what's in the Scholar's pack. But we're going to go with the Dungeoneer's pack, right? 50 feet of hemp and rope. Let's look here. Oh, yep, no rope. Rope saves lives. So Dungeoneer's pack it is. So leather armor, any simple weapon, and 2 daggers. And then it lets me go in and pick that simple weapon. So let's not do another dagger because we already have 2 there. We're going to go and choose a mace, right? And then because of my Outlander starting equipment, this is a Warlock starting equipment here, and then we have Outlander starting equipment down here. Have a staff, hunting trap, a trophy from an animal you killed, set of traveler's clothes, and a pouch with 10 gold. Add this starting equipment. It's going to load, and boom, my inventory is filled with all that equipment. I'm going to say that, all right, see weapons here. Oh, I can actually wield that weapon. So yeah, I'm going to wield my boomerang. That means I've got it at the ready. Everything else, let's go ahead and we'll wear that leather armor. Everything else we'll get into once we get to the character sheet. So here this is, I can go up to currency. All right, yep, I got that 10 gold. More, I can look at encumbrance, or if I want to restart, here's the options, right? So we can see, all right, what's next? Let's find out. So I've created it now. I have two options. I can export my character sheet, or I can view the character sheet, right? Let's go ahead and view the online character sheet first. So it's going to generate an online character sheet that, similar to what we're used to. It's got ability score over here, our modifiers to that, my information up here for proficiency bonus, my defense, speed, senses, initiative, everything like that. So all my skills over here on the right, as I go down, it says, okay, unarmed strike. I have +1, 0 damage. It says on a hit, an unarmed strike deals bludgeoning damage equal to 1 plus your strength modifier. If I go up, I see my strength modifier is -1. So that's how we come out to that. So I have the boomerang here because that's the weapon that I'm currently wielding. I've got a +3 to hit. I have 1d4 +1 damage. Down here, see what kind of damage it is. And maybe this is now, there's something special that happened to this weapon, and now I have a modifier to that weapon. I can add all that in here. So plus hit to override, I can make that change. You can see it change up top. Right? Over here I have racial traits similar to what we saw before in the character creator. I can go down, I can see any of the information or features that we chose. Okay, what feat did I pick? Right, durable, because that's the best one to pick. Not really. As I scroll down, I can see all the information again. Before, right, I have short rest, long rest buttons, so if I hit short rest, it'll say, hey, look, you recover your Hexblade's Curse, reset maximum HP changes during this rest. Warlock tells me what my hit die is, and then I can take a short rest. Same thing for long rest. It tells me what that's going to do to my character, and I can choose to take a long rest, and it'll affect my character sheet, right? So Hexblade Curse, I'm going to say, yep, I used it. Go back in, we're going to take a short rest, and I'm going to say, yep, I'm going to use all of this. And now my Hexblade's Curse is ready to be used again. Pretty cool. If I go down, I can manage all my items over here. So my active items are items that I chose to wear or use. Let's say I go down, and now I'm going to wield my dagger now. So I go up, my active items, I now see dagger. Let's see if that affected my attacks up here. And yes, now I have a dagger attack as well. So the character sheet updates as you make choices, which is kind of nifty. Go down to spells. I see down here that known spells currently are 0, so I go in and I add spells. And I can tell here that I should be able to add 2 cantrips and 2 known spells. So I can either search the name. I'm going to go really bland here and be like Eldritch Blast. Of course, I'm a warlock. Can't not take Eldritch Blast. Or I can say, hey, no, I want to look at just cantrips, right? 0 equals cantrip. Go down, well, what cantrip do I want? Let's see. Let's say Green Flame Blade. I said I was going to be up close and personal, so that's what I'm going to do. I want to take a look at what Green Flame Blade does. Well, it does fire damage to my primary target, and to my secondary target, more fire damage, right? It's cantrip, 1 action, 5 foot range, verbal and material being a weapon, durations, instantaneous, evocation, and explains what Green Flame Blade does. So, yep, that's what I want. I can go up and I can start looking at my first level spells. For my first level spells, turn off cantrips. Let's see. I'm going to take Hex because I'm a Hex Blade, and why not? And I'm going to take Wrathful Smite because that was the spell that was given to me based on choosing Hexblade. So, yep,
that's what I'll take, right? Obviously, some of these aren't the best choices. I'm just showing how the system works, right? So don't hate me. Packed Magic. Yep, level 1. Word. Alright, now our character is good to go. Let's say that I wanted to give my character inspiration. Well, I just go up, I hit this, now I have inspiration, right? A way to kind of keep track of whether or not you have it. If I want to edit my hit points, I go up. This is how I edit my hit points, right? How I add conditions. Let's say he's unconscious, right? Alright. So he's now unconscious, and you can see the icon up here showing that he's unconscious. Right? Whenever he's no longer unconscious, I can go down and click it off, and he's right as rain now. This little anvil and hammer icon, if I click that, it's going to take me back to the character creator. If I want to kind of adjust some of those systems that we talked about earlier, then I can adjust it there. I can also advance my level. All right. Boom, I am now level 2. Hit points automatically updated. Now I have some new choices down here. Eldritch Invocation. Yep, let's say we're going to do Eldritch Spear. Right, when I cast Eldritch Blast, its range is 300 feet. And we're going to do Mask of Many Faces. Right, disguise myself at will without expending a spell slot. Yep, that's what I want to do. I see that that's updated. Now I can go back in and I can scroll through all of this again, or I can just navigate via the top. Say, yep, we already did equipment. What's next? Let's go ahead and export my character sheet. All right, it's going to generate a character sheet that you're more likely, or you're probably more used to with 5th edition. All right, with everything updated. As I click in the box, it's kind of resizing things as needed. Updated my attacks here. My spells. So yeah, now I can print this out and I can take it to the table if I want. But I'm super keen on using this digital character sheet right now. That's what my group is leaning toward. We're really enjoying it. I think it's super cool. As you're going through and playing the game, if you're interested in, maybe a rule comes up that you'd like to look up. Let's say that, I want to know about initiative. Right, it's going to give me all kinds of rules based on initiative. I can say that, hey, I want, all results. Well, no, I don't want all results. I want, just things found in the Compendium. Or I want, just things that are found in the character classes or character choices. I can, look through based off that. Or maybe, I want to look at some different ways that people have used initiative. I can go to the forums and I can search posts on the D&D Beyond forums and, about how people utilize initiative in their games. Kind of neat. So that's just a basic overview of the character creation, and that's really why I enjoy using D&D Beyond, because now, I've bought, most of the character customization books through this system, and I'm able to actually go and play with my friends who don't have any of these books, and now they're able to use the stuff that I bought. We can all share it, all use it at the same time. It makes things go a lot faster. We can all search rules together. It's really nice. Um, yeah, that's probably the biggest boon to this. I can go up and I can look at classes, feats, backgrounds. I can look at the homebrew stuff. I'll show you the homebrew stuff just so you can see it. So it lists what the homebrew name is here for the background, how many people have viewed it. I can open that up. It kind of tells about the background, what skill proficiencies it provides. So this is absconded and it's created by Orel, on December 30th. let's say I like it, I can add that to my collection. And now I can use that in any games that I'm hosting. If that's something that, say, like you're part of the DM's Guild and you bought, I am really bad because I don't remember what the actual name of the book is, but I know there's one book in the DM's Guild that you can get that actually has a lot of backgrounds built into it, and the guy put so much effort in. It was really cool to see what improved backgrounds. Improved Backgrounds is a book that it's modified backgrounds for 5e character generation by Dr. Damien Meany. If you haven't checked that out, super awesome. It has so many new backgrounds that are fully fleshed out from or just upgraded versions of the backgrounds that come with 5th edition. So you're talking like Forest Warden, Double Agent, Dock Worker, Deserter, some stuff like Criminal that we're used to, right? Amnesiac, Artist, Barkeep, Construct, Fugitive, Hermit, Herder, Healer, all kinds of different backgrounds. So say you bought something like that, you can actually go in and create your own version of this. And obviously, since you didn't create that, you would set it to private so that only you could use it since you've actually purchased it. The guy deserves credit for it. But these are all public that anyone can choose from. Definitely cool to go through here and just see, okay, 2 different types of adventurer. I can go in and see, what the difference is between them, what I like, what I don't like. Very neat. All right, and that's not only for backgrounds. There's also, magic items that are homebrew. That's really cool. People have put a lot of work into it. We'll just pick one out here at random. So you can see this little mark here. That means there's some kind of requirement associated with it. So requires attunement here, right? You'll see other ones that are like, requires being a cleric or something to that effect. Okay, so here's this item that this person has picked. I can again add to my collection, use that inside of my campaign, which is pretty cool. Some of the other options, monster listings. So all the monster listings for whatever books that you have purchased, or the basic monsters that come with SRD. So you can see. Let's look at this guy. Here's a big boss, right? And it says that, hey, you can't look at this because you don't have Tomb of Annihilation, which is correct. I do not have Tomb of Annihilation, right? But you guys are going to get me for the name Asirak. And if I wanted to use him, obviously have to go into Tomb of Annihilation, or I know that he's a lich, I can just go build my own lich if that's something that I'd rather do. Let's go to something that I have. So the basic rules, Adult Copper Dragon, just as if you were looking at it through the, the monster manual. Goes into lair actions, things like that. Let's look at something that's in one of the other books. So advanced features and select sources. Say Volo's Guide. Volo's Guide has some really cool monster stuff in it. Let's filter monsters based on that. So I know Hag has a lot of information in Volo's Guide, so let's go down and try to find us a Hag. The Bear Hag. Alright, so yep, basic information here, and if I want more information, it looks like I can go to the View Details page and bring that up. Tag, it's a Hag, it likes Arctic environments. And then, yep, here's the actual page about this specific type of hag. So it doesn't go into all the information about hags. And also, hey, how do I say this name?
Hag.
Burr Hag, thank you. I believe those voices are actually done by some of the Critical Role people too. That sounded like Marisha Ray, I believe, who used to be Keyleth and is now Bo. If I wanted to go in and actually look at more information about that or types of hags in general. I go into Compendium. I can choose between rules and adventure. Like I said, I don't really have any adventures. I've heard that the maps actually come with the adventures, and they are like high def maps that or high res maps that you can actually use. Um, if you're interested in that type of thing, I kind of just build my own maps whenever I do. The fancy strikes me. Let's go down to Volo's Guide and see what it looks like to actually go into one of these books. So here I have a table of contents. I can take a look at whatever breakdown of the bestiary or monster lore. So hags. I won't scroll through all of it. Here's a breakdown of hags, Dark Sisterhood. Got all the pictures, a little bit about the background. If we go down further, I know Volo's Guide actually has some layered stuff. It has some vehicles that hags would utilize. I remember specifically there's this awesome cauldron that they can maneuver around in. So super cool. So really nice being able to have everything at your fingertips. Again, I understand that it's very frustrating having to buy things on multiple platforms. There is no virtual tabletop included in D&D Beyond. So if you're playing online, you're still going to have to use, if you want some kind of map, there are some free things out there, or you can use Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds or something like that. So virtual tabletop's definitely missing here, but with me playing in real life now, being able to take everything over on, the internet, so each of us use our tablet to kind of generate our characters to play the game, to keep track of statuses now, things like that, add notes, things like that. I know there are Chrome extensions that are being created where you can actually roll virtual dice, which is kind of cool. So yeah, it's just going to keep building and building. If you are interested in a legendary bundle, you can see this. This isn't a disc. I guess it is kind of a discount, but for previously purchased content means that if you subtract everything that I've bought already, it actually comes out to $145 in order to buy the entire legendary edition, right? If you purchase the legendary bundle, it also gives you a 15% discount on any future digital content that comes out as well. So I'm not saying that it is 100%, but I am saying that D&D Beyond helped me and my gaming group a lot more mobile now that we don't have to carry around all our books. It's very helpful for new players or players that have been away from the game for a while and maybe they haven't, they don't have Sword Coast's Adventure Guide, but they are interested in some of those choices that are in there. I would definitely look into it. The forums are growing every day. People are on here talking about, hey, this is what we want to see with 5th edition. This is what we want to see in our digital tool set. And the developers are very good about going in and kind of giving feedback saying that, hey, this is something that isn't in right now, but we want it to be. I know one of the frustrating things that I did see in the character creation was that prices aren't there for your items. So if you choose to go with your starting gold instead of the equipment that's given to you by your background or your class, very difficult to go in and say, hey, I want this, this, and this if there's no price listed there. So I posted on the forum, and within a day, I had one of the developers saying, hey, this is coming. Just be patient. We're working on it. So they are good with getting back with you. Right now, if you're in the alpha for the app, what I believe is happening is basically just PDFs for all the content that you've purchased. Keep in mind, if you've got the app, you're probably able to get to the actual D&D Beyond site. I have a Samsung Tab A, and the site works great on it. I've really enjoying D&D Beyond a lot more than I thought I would whenever I started. I'm going to keep using it, and hopefully we're able to use it a little bit more. I'd like to see my DM get a little bit more into it. I'm not a huge fan of the way that the campaign manager is set forth right now. I really prefer something like World Anvil for my world building and things like that. So I'm sure that it's just going to get better and better as it goes through. And the word is that in the future they'd like to be able to mix this in with some virtual tabletops, which would be really cool to see that bond and maybe, buy it one time and be able to use it in a virtual tabletop. I say that if they do that, D&D Beyond is the way to go. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you'd like to hear more about D&D Beyond and some of the things that are happening with it, or maybe you'd like to go in and see one of the adventures and see kind of how it's laid out, like and subscribe, leave me some feedback, and we'll make this happen. I really appreciate it. Again, my name's Ansem. Thanks.